Welcome back to another round of Basis Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I forgot how much boxing was on this weekend. There's 4 cards. There's Queensberry, there's Boxer, there's Matchroom, and there's Top Rank. I'm not going to get the chance to watch all of them in their entirety, to be honest, nor do I want to. However, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through like all the main events, and then I'm going to do chief supports on 3, and I think maybe I might do a third fight on 1 or 2 of the cards, but I can't give full detailed breakdowns on each fight, and I can't give comprehensive predictions throughout. If there's any that you want predictions to that I haven't put in the video, you can just leave it in the comments and I'll get round to it as soon as I can. But I've got to do this quick because I've got to head out. I'm heading out up North London in a bit, and yeah, I haven't really got the time to do all of the necessaries. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the Boxer card. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First things first, we've got Jessica McCaskill versus Lauren Price. The entire undercard for this is trash. I try not to be harsh or direct a lot, but it is. This undercard is horrid. Yes, there's a couple of names on there that people will know, but it's more just a case of almost every fight is filled with non-punching individuals. 2 heavyweight bouts on the card, one in the prelims and then the other one in the, I guess, in the main portion of the show, but even that one isn't 2 big punches. So yes, it can end inside the distance, but there's every chance it could go to the cards. Yeah, so we're only going to talk about the main event, and there's not a huge amount to say. In terms of pro experience, Jessica McCaskill does have the more pro experience, but in terms of just boxing experience as a whole, that's Lauren Price. Very decorated amateur, won everything there was to win as an amateur boxer. I think also as an amateur kickboxer as well, and she used to play women's football. So just a true athlete all the way around. You've got Jessica McCaskill, who's pretty much, apparently she has boxing ability, but she just chooses to slug it out. I don't know how true that is, because I would assume that if you've got the ability, you would draw for it from time to time, but a lot of what she does is purely brawling, slugging. It's worked for her against many opponents. I don't think it's going to work for her against Lauren Price. Naturally bigger woman, taller, just wider frame. Maybe doesn't hit as hard as Jessica, but she's twice as fast, twice as skilled, and I just can't see any way that Jessica McCaskill wins this fight. Even if she tries to take it into a dogfight, I can just see Lauren Price just being able to maneuver around the ring. I mean, I'm being bold and predicting that Lauren Price wins this fight like 10 rounds to 0. There is every chance maybe Jessica might scrape 1 or 2, but I would not be surprised if you see 100 to 90 on 3 separate cards in this. So that's my prediction, unanimous decision to Lauren Price. And again, I'm gonna be bold and say she 10-0, she whitewashes, she clean sweeps Jessica McCaskill. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go to the Queensberry card. Now there's actually some much better fights on this one. I was supposed to be there, but unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunate at all. I got a family function to attend, which was, it took precedence, and it may end up, it's gonna be a vibe. Me and my cousins, we always have a laugh when we get together. So yeah, I had to sacrifice getting to the Queensberry card. But with that being said, Ryan Garner versus Liam Dillon, I think is going to be a very interesting fight. Obviously, Liam Dillon did lose his last fight. Ryan Garner is on the ascendancy within the British ranks. So that super featherweight division. He's starting to sort of come into his power a little bit now. 14-0, 8 KOs. I feel like he is riding the crest of a wave in terms of sort of that domestic challenge and upswing, and I do think he's going to have just a little bit too much for Liam Dillon in this one. I am predicting that it goes the distance. I do think Dillon is good enough to survive the 10 rounds. I don't think that Garner will get the knockout in this one, but I do think he will sort of get a clear decision. I think the co-main in this one is Nathaniel Collins against Francisco Grandielli. From what I can remember, I think Grandielli is 18-2-2 and Nathaniel Collins is like 14-0, and I think he's 13 or 14 KOs. Am I thinking of? No, wait, no, sorry. Nathaniel Collins, I think he's 7 KOs, so I think he's got a 50% KO ratio. Again, I feel like this is a step up for Nathaniel Collins. I'm trying to remember if there's there's like an EBU trinket title on the line for this. It's not the full EBU belt, it might be like a silver or something like that. So this is like Nathaniel Collins is, I guess, his step up before he gets to sort of the EBU phase of his career, to be able to challenge for world honors kind of after that. Ultimately, I do think Nathaniel Collins will just about eke it out. I think it would be a close fight. I think he may get a unanimous decision, but it will be like very close on the cards, sort of like a 115, 113 all across the board, or potentially even a majority decision where one card might be a draw and then the other 2 cards end up being, you know, very close to him. That's kind of how I see that one playing out. Moving to the main event, you got Denzel Bentley versus Danny Dignam. Now Denzel Bentley is 18-3-1. Danny Dignam, I believe, is 22-1. I think. No, he's 16-1-1. I think. So out of the 2 of them, obviously Denzel Bentley's got the more pro experience. He's also been showed a better account of himself at the top level. Neither guy obviously have won world titles or been you could call sort of, I guess, world level or world class fighters just by obviously records and achievements. But Denzel Bentley is solidified British sort of fringe European level. He was, I think he was 1 fight away from winning the British title outright. And I think that's only because they had a break in between. He probably should really hold the belt outright currently, but yeah, obviously the Nathan Heaney fight happened. So of the 2, I mean, look, Danny Dignam is you know, he's like more of a rangy boxer, likes to sort of box on the outside, tries to move a bit, tries to control distance and pace and range. Denzel Bentley, you know, can box from the outside, but sometimes I feel like he gets a bit bored out there and just decides that he wants to get in closer, land that power, find that one hit or quitter shot, and then, you know, sort of take it home from there. In this fight, I do see the first few rounds being quite close, whereby Dignam is able to maybe control space, control range a little bit. But I do think that Denzel will sort of start to figure out the distance after a while. He'll work to the body a little bit. He'll throw a few shots downstairs to just keep Danny Dignam occupied. I think eventually he will start aiming for the head and he will catch him sooner rather than later. And I do expect this fight to be over inside 8 rounds. And I think it will be a stoppage for Denzel Bentley in that time. So yeah, that's my prediction for that fight. Leave yours down below. Let me know what you guys think. Now, moving over internationally. Okay, so moving over to the Matchroom card, which is taking place in Mexico. Headlined by Eduardo Rocky Hernandez and Daniel Lugo. On the undercard of this, you've got Erica Cruz versus Nazarena Romero. Now, this is a very interesting fight to me. If you guys follow Ring IQ, you will see that he's obviously very, very interested in this fight also. On a quick breakdown, both ladies, are inside fighters, pressure fighters, volume punchers. They both have a sweet spot, sort of mid-range to close range. Mid-range suits Romero better, close range suits Erica better, because she can wing shots in and throw her body into them and roll in and under shots. Both girls have got great chins and great engines. There are many times you will see Erica Cruz look like she's dying on her stool in between rounds, and then she gets up the following round and she throws like 60, 70, 80, 90 punches, and you know, goes back and looks like she's dying again. Her powers of recovery in between rounds is incredible. Nazarena doesn't throw as many shots as Erica, but she throws a lot more behind them. Her feet are firmly planted a lot of the time when she is landing those shots. She is definitely the bigger puncher of the two, and if Erica is not smart in this fight, Nazarena has loads of opportunities to be able to punch in between Erica's punches. And as we know, when you face power punches, that just doubles the rate of power that the punch comes in. I initially, on my predictions league, I put down, I did think that that Romero would get a unanimous decision, because Erica would be able to withstand the shots through 10 rounds. I was tempted to change my mind and go for the stoppage, because I do think, unfortunately, Romero, just younger, fresher, hits harder, hasn't been in as many wars as Erica. Yes, Erica's got the reserves and she's got the willpower, but I feel like there's a lot of wear and tear which could come to fruition. I'm still gonna back myself on the decision, but I would not be surprised if there's a stoppage between rounds 7 to 9 for Romero. But I do think that she will win maybe a split. It might end up being a split decision where one of the judges thinks Erica did way more than enough to get the rounds. But I'm going to go for the decision on Nazarena Romero for the chief support. Now, main event, Rocky Hernandez and Daniel Lugo. This one essentially is, can Daniel Lugo survive the first 5 rounds of the fight? If he can survive the first 5 rounds, then I can see him taking this fight on points towards the back end of it, because Hernandez will throw everything into those first 5 rounds. He will go for broke, hell for leather, and try and just take it to Daniel Lugo, who's going to have to obviously tuck up, be smart, and be able to sort of ride shots, try to keep it competitive, stick closer to the outside while staying in range to be able to throw. But he is the smaller of the two guys, just in terms of frame. I think he might make it out of the first half, but I do think by the 7th or the 8th round, I can see Rocky Hernandez landing something that just takes the soul away from Lugo. Mauricio Lara wasn't able to do it, but he is a naturally smaller guy out of the two, plus old, inactivity sort of, he looked old in the ring. Whereas, yeah, I think Rocky Hernandez is still fresh, he's still got a point to prove, and he wants to show that the Oshaki Foster fight was a slip up. Yeah, I can see Daniel Lugo getting taken out inside 7 to 8 rounds. So that is going to be the prediction. Rocky Hernandez stoppage within 8. Now moving over to the card in sunny Australia. Okay, so moving over to the top rank card, which is taking place in Australia, you got George Kambosos against Vasyl Lomachenko. It's for the vacant IBF lightweight title. There is also quite a good undercard. This is probably, from all of the cards just on paper, this is probably like the best undercard of all 4 cards taking place today / tomorrow. I'm going to talk about, I just want to give a quick, how do I want to put this? Alright, so I'm just going to give a quick mention to Imam Kartiev, who's taking on Richard Bolotniks. 6-0, 6 KOs, Russian, I believe. And obviously Bolotniks, most people will know him from the UK. I think Kartiev is he's on the fast track at this point in time. Obviously, Bolotniks is definitely in gatekeeper mode at this stage of his career, and I can't see anything other than Kartiev absolutely destroying Bolotniks inside the first 4 rounds, maybe 5, if he can get that far. So that's that one. Andrew Maloney against Pedro Guevara. I've not seen much of Pedro, so I can only go by the record. Andrew Maloney, I feel, he's always kind of been the little brother of the two twins, but I feel like he has the higher ceiling of the two as well. He seems to do better overall than Jason does, even obviously Jason won the world title and lost it the other day. I'm just gonna go on my faith on this one. I think that Maloney will, in front of a home country crowd, be able to pull enough out of the bag to get through that one. So I'm gonna go Maloney on points. It's gonna be a tough fight, I'm assuming, because those lower weight Mexicans are very, very tough, and they always come in to kill. But I feel like Maloney will have just enough to sort of get through that. Chief support co-main, Nina Hughes versus Shenica Johnson for the WBA bantamweight belt. Interestingly enough, Shenica Johnson came in at 116 pounds something for this, so it goes to show that while she was even fighting at super bantam, she wasn't a natural super bantamweight to begin with. She kind of went up there, I think, just for opportunities. So she's definitely quite comfortable at bantam, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe she could even get down to super fly. She looked like she had a pound or two that she maybe could have been able to get off, so that might be another option. Go down again, try and be a free weight world champion. Nina Hughes is a very comfortable bantamweight, small. She's the shorter of the two, much older. I think she's 41 now, whereas Shenica, I believe, is 27 or 28, so she's kind of coming into her prime years, whereas Nina is definitely towards in the twilight of her career. Taking your very first fight on away soil, and not just away soil, like the other end of the world, so to speak. Literally, we're coming into summer now, they're going into winter. That's difference in time zones and everything. I don't know how long ago Nina went over there, signing up with Lou DiBella. It seems like this whole thing, she signed this contract is ultimately to sell her belt to the highest bidder. That's what it kind of seems like. I know she wasn't getting the opportunities over here that she should have been, but I can't see any reason that she wins this fight. Not because she's not good enough, but Shenica is a very good boxer, very explosive, hits hard, got a strong chin, can box, can move, can take the pocket away from Nina Hughes if she really needs to. And again, hometown advantage. I'm trying to think. I think she's a New Zealander that moved to Australia, as opposed to an Australian that moved to New Zealand. It's one of the two, but I think it's that way. But either way, the crowd's going to be partisan for her. I can assume that the judges will probably give her more favor, especially if she is controlling space or landing cleaner shots, which is one thing that she may end up doing, because Nina's going to have to barrel in order to get into range. Shenica does have the height and the reach advantage, so I am predicting that Shenica Johnson is going to win this fight on points. Then I don't know necessarily what Nina does next, but yeah, your new WBA bantamweight champion will be Shenica Johnson. That's my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments. Last but not least, you've got George Kambosos, Ferocious Kambosos, against Vasyl Lomachenko, the Matrix Lomachenko. 36 now, so he's getting on in years. He's got a young person style. He's no longer young, but he is still faster than Kambosos. I would gather that he hits harder than Kambosos, much better ring IQ than Kambosos, has a much better amateur career. I mean, look, he's probably the greatest slash the best, greatest, whichever you want to state it, like amateur ever. A record that will probably be unrivaled. Obviously no amateur has ever gone undefeated, I don't believe, in terms of a proper, you know, career like that spans years and many tournaments. But 396-1 as a record is like, I don't think that will ever be seen again in boxing, quite frankly. So yeah, you look at all of that, you say, well, what does George have? George, now during the weigh-ins, George actually looked a bit more frail than Lomachenko, but that's because he has to cut more weight than Loma. Loma looked obviously a lot more comfortable coming in at that 135, whereas George looked a little bit smaller. He actually looked decent. He didn't look sunken in and drawn, but he looked, you know, like, okay, when he fills out, there's going to be a noticeable size difference. But again, he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the power, the punch power to keep Loma off him. He doesn't have the ring IQ. All he's got really in this fight is heart and will. So it's going to be, can he basically make Loma fight his fight? Can he make Loma fight a dog fight as opposed to pressuring and trying to be smart? If George comes in with his, you know, his that switch hitting thing that he tries to do, or that switching stance thing he tries to do in the center of the ring with his hands down, he's going to get popped in the face, like, consistently. I'm struggling to see any way outside of, you know, just through grit and determination, and maybe making this fight a bit like the Salido fight that Loma had in his second professional bout, which I now think he's too smart to get into that type of fight. I can't see a way that George Kambosos wins this fight. I've tried, I've looked, I've thought about it. I've looked at both of their fights, different people. The Maxi Hughes fight, I looked at the Teofimo Lopez fights for both of them, the Devin Haney fights for Kambosos. You know, even the old fights that he had, the ones that he had over in the UK. I can't see a way that he wins this. So Lomachenko wins this fight, and I've said for a little while, I think he's actually going to get a stoppage, a late stoppage, just due to accumulation, due to taking too much punishment, with basically no way back. I don't think it's going to be a flat on the back knockout, but I feel like maybe the ref will just jump in, or maybe the corner might even throw the towel, say, do you know what, there's no reason to carry on. That's kind of how I see it. I feel like Loma stops him, and I think it ends probably in the 10th round. Yeah, that's my prediction. Leave yours down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. I know this one's a bit rushed, but hopefully doesn't feel that way. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. But for right now, Spaces Picks locked.